Buddy, so that last Ranger's Apprentice video. Yep, the last one. And I have book 12, the last book. And this time we're talking about everybody else. I mentioned that, well, there's a lot of characters because this is a 12-book series. Yeah, oh my god. But the only three main ones are Will, Halt, and Horace. They always are in every single book. These other characters are like here and there, and some of them, and others not so much there, and others have a little cameo in some of them. So, couldn't really make a whole video about it. Last week we did all the Rangers, and this week we are doing everybody else, which is mainly all the girls. Okay, so first girl we're going to talk about is Will's apprentice, and she is right there. That is Will's apprentice, Maddie. And if you can see the title, the 12th book is called The Royal Ranger. Take a wild guess at what's going to happen in this book. Yup! Spoiler, but Maddie is the princess, and she is Cassandra's and Horace's daughter. And she is kind of rebelling in a way, because I mean she's like 16 or something like that, around the time that they are like, become apprentices, and she is going out and just hunting around, not really doing the princessy stuff. So her parents are like, no, that's not good, and then Halt, being Halt, convinces them that maybe it would be best if she became a Ranger's apprentice, because she would qualify if she was a boy. And they were actually like kind of talking about having girls be apprentices too, which, for me, I'm like, yeah, girls could do that stuff, because girls could. So, Maddie, like I said, she's kind of snotty at the beginning, and I didn't really like her. Like, I'm like, you are awesome for rebelling and stuff, but when she got to Will, it was like, oh, okay, don't like you so much, because it's like, she did kind of the same things that Will did. She's smarter than Will, though, because, I mean, like, the horse thing happens again. They go to get her horse, and she's like, but wait, is there a catch to this? And he's like, oh, darn it, like that. And that's pretty funny, okay? And as she goes on, you kind of see that she is a ranger at the end of it. Like, they're like, okay, yours done, you don't have to do this anymore. And she's like, actually, I'll stay. I'll keep doing the Ranger's Apprentice. You really get to see her, especially in this one. This is the only book that she's in, okay? But you really do get to see her in it so much in the Ranger's Apprentice, the Royal Ranger, because she can kick some butt when she wants to, and has to save Will a few times, but I'll let you find that part out, because like I said, he gets really dark in this one. He really does, and she kind of brings him out of it, which is good. And speaking of Will, why is Will dark? Well, Alyssa, she's the girl that like is the diplomat. He grew up with her. They were all in the ward together, like the orphanage place. She grew up with him and became like this diplomat, I think, where they go out, they do all the diplomatic things and talk to people, and she's really good at it too. And she works for Halt's wife. Yeah, Halt has a wife. Pauline, I think that's how you say it. It's like Pauline or Paulina, something like that. But later she's like goes off. She's doing her diplomatic thing, and this is after her and Will finally got married, and she dies. And honestly, this is the only book series where a lot of the characters that die, I'm like, okay, I can live with that. There's always, if a character dies, you're like, no, bring them back. This one is like, yeah, I can live with that, actually. Like, Coralie died. I was like, Coralie died? And I'm like, oh, well, actually, the way he died, it sounds right, so. Yeah, but Alyssa died by saving someone else, and I was like, she would die that way, for one thing. And she would do that, but Will is bitter about it. And just to talk about Alyssa for a minute, you don't really see much of her. It's pretty fun when her and Cassandra kind of fight over Will for a little bit. Then you're like, no, 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 Cassandra likes Horace more than Will. Yeah, there's a part in the 10th one where they're sailing, and then both of them are learning to actually fight with a sword, okay? A sword, not just like random things that they have or a knife, a sword. And while they're practicing, they kind of start Holt has to break up an entire fight because they're like going at it, and he's like, if you guys don't stop, I will send Will home. Will is a boy. He's clueless. He's like, why me? Yeah. But Alice, she is smart, very smart, and very like level-headed. I think she's like Pauline to Halt. If you can picture that, if you know what I'm talking about, Pauline is very level-headed, very diplomatic, and very nice, like compared to Halt, and kind of balances him out and brings him down. Alice does the same thing with Will. Now, I mentioned Cassandra earlier. Maddie, who is the princess here, is her daughter, and Cassandra, you first meet her like in the second one, and at first she's Evelyn, and I'm like, okay, Evelyn. I don't really know what to like make of her. I'm kind of having the same suspicions Gillian is. Then we find out that she's the princess. You're like, oh, wow, okay, that's a shock. I didn't really see that one coming either. So, and then her and Will get taken to Scandinavia, and I mentioned that she's kind of the one to see Will is actually learning something from Halt, because he's like, I don't know if I'm learning this right. I don't know if I can, if this is going to work. But then she's watching him, and she's like, yeah, it's working. It's working. Wow. And then, like, in the third one, Will gets, like, drugged so bad. So bad. And she brings him out of it, which shows that she's really smart and really kind of defends him and helps him out as like they're trying to escape. And she's also very diplomatic and sassy. Let me just say, she is sassy. In the 7th one, they're trying to make this deal, and Hulk kind of like taught her, and he's just like, oh, I made a monster. And she just kind of smiles because, oh, she is sassy. She's all over the place, sassy. And that's like one of the reasons Horace loves her. And her and Horace get married, and it's a nice little wedding. It's so nice. Someone tries to kill her, but she's a princess, so what you gonna do? Finally we have Jenny. I kind of mentioned Jenny in the Rangers video because she does kind of have this thing going with Gillian, and you can get the idea that they like each other, that they're together, and you just don't see a lot of it. You get the idea that they're together and that they're spending time together. We just don't see it that much. Just little hints. And I think she's really fun because she's really funny when you see her in the first one and in the 8th one, and just sporadically you see her, and she is honestly just fun. Like, she's talking to the chef master because she wants to be a cook, and when he asks, like, what do you do with, like, I forget what he asked her about because I don't cook, and yeah, a lot of cooking terms, and then in the end she was just like, well, you eat it. And then she opens like her whole own restaurant, and it's fun to watch her, like, cause she is a natural at this stuff, and it's like a little rivalry, so that's kind of fun to have going with, like, between two cooks. You have that underneath it all every time that there's something going on. It's always brings that up, like the little rivalry. So, other characters that come up occasionally, there's this guy from, actually, there's this guy from, the desert place they went to. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. They go to this desert place in the 7th book, and they meet this one guy who is, like, in charge of the entire place, and he wants to, and it's fun with him because he comes up twice. Then, and in the 10th book, it's fun with him because at first when you think you're meeting him, okay, you think you're meeting him, but you're not, okay. He's like off to the side because he wants to see what really happens. He's pretending to be like one of the guards, and eventually, Cassandra, Evelyn, take your pick, kind of figures it out and is like, okay, no, I'm leaving unless we're gonna talk to the actual person. So goodbye, again with the sass, okay? And he comes out and is like, okay, you are good at this. And so he comes up in the 7th, then he comes back up in the 10th book, and you see that he is, like, still that guy who, like, wants adventure, and he goes to them, to Nahuje, to, you know, help find Horace. And that's also a fun part, because you get to see him twice. Honestly, I forget his name. You get to see him twice, and really that's about all the characters there are. There's King Duncan, and you get a little background on him in the 11th book, like how the whole thing with the Rangers and him came to be, because like this like council was manipulating things, planning to take control, and yeah, that means he was like kind of exiled, kind of not, but then Corrali and Hulk came along, and the three of them teamed up, and they're all friends, and he's really smart when you see it, when you read him. It's like what he says is really smart. One line that he has from here is, you know, no one ever got hurt being too careful, and it's like, well, yeah, you have a point there, so can't really argue with that there. And you see that he's also really nice, and him, Halt, and Corrali are friends, because, as I mentioned, Halt purposely gets himself banished, and when he comes back, he's like, it's not up, the year's not up yet, and it really confuses everyone. He's just like, dude, you're good, we know you were faking it. We know you did that on purpose. So, like, come on, you're fine. So he's really nice guy. In this one, he's not dead yet, I'll tell you, in this one, but he's like really sick, so Cassandra's kind of running everything. So, really, that's about all the characters I got for you. There's all the Barons. Baron Allen is a pretty awesome guy, kind of like, you know, kind of in the way that King Duncan is. He's really nice. Like, he made this ward so that kids could, like, kids without parents could, like, actually come there and have a chance, instead of kind of just being left in the world. And, you know, their fete is like one of the best fetes there is, because you see Will has to do like a report on the battle school, and he's getting annoyed because he's like, can't I just write C last report? I wonder why he can't. That would just be so much easier. But who knows why. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot of other characters if you want to read them all. A lot. I can't pronounce all their names. There's a lot of other characters. There's a lot of villains. I can talk about Francis for a second, and, you know, Halt's brother. Really don't like him. Really don't. He's really self-centered, and you kind of get that idea, and Halt, like, threatens him, and I kind of agree with half the stuff Halt says, because Horse is like, hey, Halt, do you trust him? And Halt's like, not as far as I can kick him, and I'd love to see how far that is. And I'm like, I can't really argue with that, because a good kick might actually help him. Yeah, he's just really selfish. Halt's nephew is, like, Cartrick. They keep calling him that. I think that's their last name, though. But Halt's nephew is, like, really smart, too, and we never really got to see, like, what kind of king he became, but you got the idea. He was going to be a good king, okay? He was going to be a good one, and he was kind of already thinking strategically, and Halt knew that he was going to be a good king. I would have liked to see it, like, you know, go back and see if what happened with that one, but you got the idea. So that's all the characters. If you want to know more about all these characters, or just all the characters in general, just read the book series. And this is going to be the last Ranger's Apprentice video. So next week we're going to start the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series, and that one is deep. Now for the Ranger's Apprentice lesson for today. I love one lesson that Will learned right as he becomes an official ranger. At the end, they have, like, at the end of the 7th one, he is going to become an official ranger. But they treat it like it's nothing, okay? They're just like, okay, yeah, sign here, and let's see here, you know how to shoot a bow, you know, this part's sharp, you know, this part of the arrow's sharp, you know, not to do that one. You know which, you know what's the hills. Fight. Halt. Yeah, he can fight, right? Yeah. Okay, good. And yeah, okay, you're a ranger. That's like all they do, and really, he's just like, that's it? And I feel like that's a good lesson that he learns, because he learns that, you know, now even though his training's done, everything's not done. He's gonna be a ranger, and just because his training's done doesn't mean he can forget everything he learned and, you know, just kind of slack off, I guess. But like this is still continuing. It's a beginning, but just a continuation. It's kind of like a sequel. It's like a sequel to stories that they have, but I think that's a good lesson for everyone in college and in high school, because once you graduate, really, it's like your life's not done, okay? Your life really isn't done. You're going to continue on. You're going to need to learn and keep this knowledge that you have forever and use it in life. So that is your Ranger's Apprentice lesson for today. That kind of wraps them all together in one. And I'll see you next week for Daughter of Smoke and Bone.